and girls, and all creators, beautiful creatures. If anyone else says otherwise, they're only living in a one-dimensional space, and they will fully experience what comes of that. Whatever. We all have the right to choose. No harm done. It's just a part of the life we've been given. It's nothing personal. I'm so impermanent.
Why do some people seem invincible, while others shatter at a single word, a failure, or a cold glance? Carl Jung believed the reason is not that they are stronger, but that they understand themselves better. While most people spend their lives avoiding the dark corners within, truly strong individuals step right into them without fear, without judgment, only with one desire: to understand themselves. Carl Jung once said that our lives are guided by the unconscious, and until we illuminate it, we will call our tragedies fate. But fate is not a binding chain. It is a mirror reflecting what we have not yet dared to confront. Every burst of anger, every wound is a call, an invitation to enter the inner world, where all true human power is stored. To build a mind so strong that others must tread carefully around it, you don't need to appear cold or indifferent. You need to become awakened, deep enough to understand yourself, calm enough not to be shaken. When you touch that power, you no longer need to prove anything to anyone, because your presence itself is a declaration. And that is what we will explore today. How to build a mind so strong that it instills fear in others. A mind that does not waver before praise, does not collapse before injury, does not lose itself amid the storms of the world. Because when you understand the true origin of inner
Hey,
strength,
what's up,
you
bro?
will realize that no
Happy.
one
Is
can
it
hurt you
Sunday? Oh,
unless you grant them
it's
that
already
power.
Sunday. Yeah, dude.
You don't need to
I've
fight
stayed up.
anyone. You
I
only
slept for
need
like
to
3 hours a
awaken.
little bit,
As
and not
usual,
gonna
I
lie.
have a small challenge for you.
I am
Watch the
quitting
video to the end
like
if you are
weed
truly
and vaping and
serious about
stuff, and
your
I'm just
journey of
doing all that cold
self-development.
turkey.
Leave a
And
comment.
honestly, it's taking its
I
toll.
accept the challenge.
Withdrawals
Or more
are
briefly,
definitely not fun.
accept
This is why
challenge.
I've been
To
trying to
start with the
focus so
first
much
part of
on
today's
meditation and other
video.
stuff because it's quite literally become one of
Part
the only
1.
things I have to
Recognizing the shadow.
just stay,
There is
just
a
stay
part of you
focused, and then
always fighting for.
oh
A part
god,
that makes you
I'm like
ashamed,
literally
makes
getting
you
the shakes
angry,
as I'm
makes you feel
saying that,
not
bro.
good enough. You suppress it, pretend it
Shit,
doesn't
man. You got
exist.
insomnia?
Don't
No,
mask the
bro.
positivity
I
of your
have
strength.
lack of
No.
ability to sleep
But the paradox is that this very
whenever I
part
don't
you are
smoke weed,
fighting
rather.
for
And
holds
even
no
though
truth.
I'm not smoking weed,
Carl Jung
actually,
believed the
I'm just
shadow.
on the
Jung
edibles
once
right
said,
now,
one does not
and
become
yeah,
enlightened by
and even
imagining
that is
figures of
like
light,
even
but
that
by
is
making the
not helping me
darkness
actually sleep
conscious.
because it's not hitting like the
The
mental
shadow is
like I
not
wanted
something
to.
evil.
But other
It
than
is
that, that
simply
is
a
okay. I
rejected
would write it
emotion of the
out,
soul.
wait at least like
Everything you
one
don't want to
full like
acknowledge
one
about
or two
yourself.
full years, and then I know
Envy,
eventually at
anger,
that point it
fear,
will fully
the
start
need
to
for
be okay.
control, the craving for recognition,
How about
or even the weakness you
melatonin
deny. Every
or
time you say, "That's not me," you are
melatonin?
pushing another fragment
What's
of yourself into the
Oh, I think I have
darkness.
taken that before,
And then
but I've stopped taking
that shadow
supplements, bro.
grows.
Like I've had to
Hours
stop
go
taking
by,
supplements.
and
I
you
just
lose
don't trust
control
that.
from within,
I say
and you become
accept yourself with
invincible
what
to
you
the
are.
world.
Don't take any medications.
Sometimes a lot of
Creator
bitter
made you perfect. Human
love,
perception is usually
envy
wrong.
at someone's success,
Just look at
or
that, like how
finding a
we can say
reputation when
something's good
others
one day and then
receive
say it
attention.
the next day. That
It's
just
not
proves we don't
because they
fucking
did
actually
something
know.
wrong. It's your shadow
Well, in
projecting.
my opinion, I should say.
You might be angry because
Like
you
we're all
see
just
part
perceiving
of
things
yourself
based off
that you
of
never
our
accept.
beliefs. Like, so, and I don't 100% trust doctors, mainly because doctors are just people, and people can be bought off, and people can be paid off, and they usually are because of fear and other things like that. And that's not something I'm honestly like liking. Like once you've done that, once you've actively like tested syphilis on other people, or once you've actively said things like smoking is healthier than fruits, and then you get surprised when you get an entire generation of people who are addicted to smoking, who are addicted to this and that, who want to stop doing certain things, but are so busy worrying about paying debt and other BS that they can't even focus on that specifically. And then here you are offering help, but your help is quite literally admitting that all you're doing is treating the ailments and not giving two fucks about that person. Like I never understood that. So yeah, I would never trust doctors. Sorry, I went on that whole tangent. I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to do that. Sorry.
Imagine walking through a forest and hearing a
Uh,
strange noise. You fear it because you don't know what it is.
we're almost
You
done.
try to hold up a light and shine
Okay,
it.
1 second here.
You
Just
realize
getting
it's
things
just
ready.
the wind through the branches. Your inner shadow is the same. When you haven't seen it,
Also, I'm
it
gonna
makes
let
you
the
tremble.
video play.
When you dare to
I'm gonna
look,
restart it a little
it
bit,
loses
and
its power.
then I just hope I don't get a
Recognizing the
copyright strike,
shadow
but we'll see
is the
after we're done
first
editing
step
it.
to reclaiming
So yeah,
control of your own
I
mind.
enjoy it.
Someone
I
might ask,
just want to
but
like
why
have some
touch that
filler
dark
space. It's
part?
either that or play
Why
heavy
not
metal
just
music.
focus on the positive? Because light has no meaning
Like,
if you have
and
never
honestly,
known
that
what
would be a
darkness
good test to
is.
see how calm I can stay
Fake
in
positivity
meditation.
is just
But
another
I'm
way
not
to
there
evade
yet.
reality.
Well, yeah.
Truly strong people are not those who are always cheerful, but those who dare to touch the pain and learn to listen to the message hidden within it. The darkness does not come to destroy you. It comes to show you what remains unhealed. For example, when you feel hurt because someone abandons you, the real pain does not lie in their action, but in your long-standing fear of abandonment, perhaps from childhood, when you were not truly heard. The shadow stores those memories, and every time a similar situation arises, it wakes up to remind you that the wound is still there. If you evade it,
Hey,
it will
hey,
repeat
Wee Sam.
endlessly. If you
Sorry,
look
I'm
it
about to
straight in
get
the
into it
eye,
right now.
it will gradually
Um,
dissolve.
I
In
before
Jungian
we get
psychology,
to 50
the
seconds,
journey
I
of
will read chat
confronting the
still because my
shadow
computer
is
is
not a
up.
battle to
So,
eradicate the dark part,
but one
but a
sec, I want to
journey
do
of
the thing
integration,
that I wanted to do
to
last
let
time,
light and
but I
darkness
didn't have enough
coexist in
time.
balance. Because without darkness, you cannot have depth. A person who only knows light becomes shallow
Okay.
and fragile because they do not understand the true nature of humanity. But one who has faced the shadow becomes serene, profound, and steadfast because they no
Okay, we
longer
good?
fear
We're good.
themselves.
Still
Jung
good?
believed
Still
that
good.
each person
Yeah.
has the
Okay.
potential to
Check it. Check
become
it. Check it. Check
whole
it.
when they unify
We're,
the
we're
two
gonna do. We're
sides
gonna
of
do at least one.
themselves.
One or
Such
two.
a person
Just
is
more,
not
bro.
easily provoked, not easily manipulated, because they know who they are and who they can become. They see anger, but do not let it dominate. They feel fear, but do
Uh-oh.
not let it halt their steps.
Nah.
They do not try to become better than others, but only strive to become more true to themselves. Look at the people you once considered
Uh-oh.
strong.
Never mind.
They may not be the type
Never
who
mind.
always
Never
smile
mind.
or display
Okay,
constant
that's way too hot.
positivity, but you sense in them an admirable stillness, as if they have traversed dark regions you have not yet dared to
Okay.
touch. They
Got my
don't
hat.
need to prove anything because they know true strength does not lie in defeating others, but in mastering the demons within. That is why Jung called recognizing and reconciling with the shadow the
Okay.
first step of awakening.
I like
You
it so
cannot
far, but
build a
let's get
strong
it.
mind if your foundation is fear, and you cannot become unshakable if you are still fleeing from the dark part of yourself. True strength does not come from accumulating knowledge or discipline. but from the courage to confront what you do not want to see. When you begin to look at the shadow, you will find it is not only frightening, but full of vitality. Within it lie the parts you once neglected: passion, creative instinct, primal courage, powerful intuition. All that was once suppressed now awaits release. Recognizing the shadow is not just facing fear, but unlocking the greatest potential within you. And then, one day, when someone tries to hurt you, when the world hurls criticism, judgment, or contempt at you, you will smile, not because you feel nothing, but because you know exactly who is speaking in your mind: the wounded part, the fearful part, or the healed part. When you know that, no one can manipulate your emotions anymore.
Totally forgot. This is gonna play
Part
some
2.
ads, so sorry guys.
Overcoming the victim archetype. When you realize that the fears, angers, and weaknesses within are not enemies but mirrors reflecting human nature, another truth will gradually emerge. You realize that much of the pain you have endured does not come from circumstances, but from the role you unconsciously choose for yourself. That is the role of the victim. Jung called this an archetype, a deep psychological pattern existing in the collective unconscious. And the victim is one of the most powerful archetypes governing human life. The victim archetype is not a foreign concept. You see it everywhere, in the person who constantly complains that life is unfair, in the one who always blames the past, parents, society, love, or fate. And sometimes you see it in yourself when you say, "I can't. I would have been different if not for." The victim archetype is very subtle because it cloaks itself in the garb of legitimacy. It makes you believe you are merely the injured party, that everything that happens is someone else's fault. But behind that is a cold truth. When you cast yourself as the victim, you also strip yourself of the power to master your own life. Jung once said, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." But to choose, you must be conscious. And that consciousness only comes when you dare to look at how the victim archetype is manipulating you. Because no one is truly a victim forever, only someone who has not yet realized they could stand up. In analytical psychology, Jung said every archetype has two faces, the light and the dark. The victim archetype in its light face helps us recognize pain, empathize, and awaken compassion. But in its dark face, it turns us into dependence on our own suffering. We begin to live through trauma, seeking attention, pity, or validation from others to fill the inner void. It makes us confuse suffering with proof of existence. And that is when the shadow of the victim devours our true self. You can see this in those who have been betrayed and then carry a deep belief that everyone will leave me. They build walls to protect themselves, but unwittingly imprison themselves in isolation. Or in those who have failed once and then never dare to try again, because they believe life is not for me. They think they are defending themselves, but in reality, they are protecting their own cage. And that cage is built not from steel, but from distorted beliefs about the self. Carl Jung called this identification with the archetype, when a person no longer knows where the self ends and the role begins. You are no longer the one experiencing pain.
If you know this sound, I have some good news for you. The 2026 lineup is here. And if you don't know this sound, it's all right. You have a good day. Discover the new Skidoo models now.
Coming up on Icy Road Drivers, Canadians face the repercussions of an early frost. Will this be a bump in the road, bring a stop to their journey, or did they get an early solution, schedule an expert service appointment at their local Toyota dealer. Because it's time to swap those tires, get that oil checked, and store those summer tires until warm days return. Book your appointment today and ready your Toyota for the road ahead.
With Instacart, you get groceries that over-deliver. Like when your sister-in-law's coming over for Abby's and she's particular about cheese. Instacart's got shopper notes, so you can request brie that's white, but more off-white. Firm, but not hard. Smells earthy, but like mushroomy, not nutty. And the only thing she'll have to say is, mmm. So download the app today and get $0 delivery fees on your first 3 orders. Instacart. Groceries that over-deliver. Service fees, exclusions, and terms apply.
Be unstoppable with the new Dell family of AI PCs with the latest Intel Core Ultra processors. That's Dell.com/Dell family.
You become the pain itself. And when that happens, you lose the ability to transform. Jung believed that the prerequisite for escaping the archetype's grip is to become conscious of being gripped by it. Because only when you recognize, I am playing the victim, can you begin to rewrite the script. A friend of mine who works in an advertising company always complained to me that she felt her boss favored others. Every time someone else got a big project, she would get angry and think, they never value me. But one day, instead of continuing to complain, Lan paused and asked herself, why am I not getting big projects? What can I do differently? She began proactively suggesting ideas, seeking feedback, and taking responsibility for her work. The way she stepped out of the abandoned role changed everything. The sense of helplessness vanished when Lan realized true power begins with stopping the blame and choosing action. So the answer to the question, how to break free, will not be by denying the pain or forcing yourself to be stronger, but by dialoguing with the emotions. Try looking straight at the voice in your head every time you think negatively. Ask it, who is speaking like this? You will realize it is not you. It is the inner child within you, once abandoned, once unheard, believing that only through suffering would it receive attention from others. And when you begin to listen to that child with empathy instead of judgment, it will no longer need to scream. At that point, the victim archetype dissolves, making way for a new energy, the energy of the creator. The creator does not ask, why is this happening to me? They ask, what can I learn from this? The very moment you shift from the first question to the second, you have left the victim role and entered the journey of mastery. For example, some people have endured poverty, abuse, or loss, but they do not let that past define them. They transform it into motivation to help others, to write a new story. They do not deny the pain. They transmute it into strength. Jung would call this the alchemical process of the soul, where lead, suffering, is turned into gold, wisdom. But remember, overcoming the victim archetype does not mean becoming numb. Truly strong people are not those who never fall, but those who know how to rise and understand why they fell. They still feel hurt, but they are not defined by the hurt. They still know pain, but they choose conscious responses. That is the difference between reflex and freedom. From a Jungian perspective, every time you refuse the victim role, you move closer to the self, the center of the psyche, where all archetypes harmonize in balance. There, you are no longer shaped by circumstances, but the one shaping them. You no longer seek a savior because you understand that you are the one who saves yourself. Try imagining if from tomorrow you stop saying I can't and replace it with I choose not to do this right now. The second statement carries the same content, but holds power. because it acknowledges that you have the right to choose. And that right to choose is the first step of inner freedom. All freedom begins with this realization: I am no longer a victim. And then you realize no one has ever truly hurt you. They only touched the wounds you have not yet healed. No one has ever taken your power. You only once forgot that it belongs to you. When you remember that, when you stop playing the victim and return to being the creator of your own life, you need to prove nothing. The stillness within you is already proof of a strength that no one can shake. Part 3. Accessing the collective unconscious. That is the door leading to a deeper layer of the mind, where not only you are present. There you realize that your fears, beliefs, dreams, and symbols that have appeared in your life do not entirely belong to you as an individual. They are the flow of thousands of years of human consciousness operating within you. Jung called that deep layer the collective unconscious. The collective unconscious is not a mystical concept. It is the shared spiritual repository of humanity, where all experiences, memories, and primal emotions have accumulated across thousands of generations. Every human being is born inheriting this treasure trove, like a spiritual inheritance. You do not need to learn to fear the dark, to love the light, to tremble before beauty, or shiver at the face of death. It is all already pre-programmed in the deepest recesses of your mind. And it is from that repository that archetypes form, universal symbolic images that appear in dreams, myths, religions, and even in modern life today. You may never have read Greek mythology, yet you still understand the feeling of Prometheus, the one who dared to steal fire from the gods to give to humanity. Because deep in the collective unconscious, you too carry the archetype of the rebel, the challenger of limits in pursuit of the light of knowledge. You may never have encountered a figure like Athena, but you still recognize the archetype of the wise one within yourself when you choose reason over instinct, when you hold stillness amid chaos. The collective unconscious is what connects you to all of humanity, no matter the century or culture in which you live. It explains why a child anywhere fears the night, yearns to be loved, imagines heroes, mothers, and death. Those images do not come from the external world. They are the ancient language of the soul, the spiritual heritage you carry within. But the strange thing is, most of us live our entire lives without ever touching this deep layer. We are trapped on the surface, where reason, logic, and the ego hold sway. We think we are choosing, but in truth, the collective unconscious whispers behind every action, every emotion, every dream. You think you love someone because they fit, but deep down, you may be guided by the archetype of the anima or animus, the unconscious image of the ideal feminine or masculine within. You think you want success to affirm your worth, but in reality, you are living the archetype of the hero, battling your own dragon to find the treasure, which Jung believed symbolizes self-realization. Understanding this is a turning point. Because when you begin to see the archetypes operating within you, you are no longer their puppet. You start choosing how to express them consciously. For instance, the mother archetype might drive you to sacrifice yourself to exhaustion for others. But when you recognize it, you can transform that energy from blind sacrifice to compassion, from control to mindful care. Or the warrior archetype, if unconscious, it makes you aggressive, bent on victory at any cost. But when you master it, it becomes the strength to protect boundaries, to stand for what is right without being ruled by hatred. Within each person exist dozens of such archetypes: the teacher, the healer, the betrayer, the wanderer, the king, the warrior, the creator. They come and go, shifting with time and circumstance. The issue is not to eliminate them, but to learn to call upon the right one when needed. Like a skilled director, you do not let a single actor dominate the stage. You know when to let the warrior appear, when the healer needs to speak, when the wise one should lead. A strong mind does not try to control everything, but one that knows how to work with the unconscious rather than being controlled by it. An intriguing example: in moments when you feel lost, unsure of who you are or what you live for, that is not a sign of failure, but a call from the collective unconscious. Like the heroes in myths, you are entering the dark night of the soul, where you must leave the safe confines of the ego to find your true self. At that deep level, you will encounter strange symbols in dreams: a forest, an old house, a guide, a snake, a stream. Do not dismiss them. Jung believed every dream symbol is a message from the unconscious, a map guiding the journey of awakening. And if in this moment, an image, dream, or memory has just flickered into view, do not ignore it. Write it down, or share it in the comments as a small fragment of the shared ocean we are exploring together. Because sometimes, what you share is not just yours, but the whisper of the collective unconscious seeking to be seen through your very story. When you learn to listen to that symbolic language through dreams, intuition, and strange synchronicities, you begin to unlock the inner treasure. You no longer live solely by reason, but by the ancient wisdom of the collective soul. You realize you are not alone. For every story you are living has been told by humanity for thousands of years. You are merely rewriting them in your own way. Amid the clamor of the world, when you achieve this, you touch a power that logic cannot explain, an intelligence beyond the individual. Jung called it inner guidance. When you connect to this deep layer, your decisions no longer stem from fear or ambition, but from a profound knowing, as if your soul already knew the way. Try imagining you are a drop of water in the ocean. When you see yourself only as a small drop, you feel weak, isolated, and afraid. But when you realize you belong to the ocean, that the current within you is the current of the vast sea, you fear no more. That is the experience of touching the collective unconscious, union with the spiritual source of humanity. When you live from that depth, you no longer react as a small individual. You act as part of something greater, and that is when your mind becomes as steadfast as a mountain. No one can shake you, because you are no longer just you. You are the crystallization of thousands of years of wisdom, the voice of the collective unconscious made conscious. Part 4. The journey of individuation, the pinnacle of inner strength. Here, you enter the deepest and most sacred stage of the spiritual journey that Carl Jung called individuation. If accessing the collective unconscious connects you to humanity's shared wisdom, then the journey of individuation is the destination where all those parts merge into one. Individuation is not about becoming the best version of yourself as the modern world preaches. It is the journey of returning to who you truly are, whole, unified, and authentic. Jung believed every person is born with a soul map, a unique path no one else can walk for them. But most of us spend our lives pleasing others, fitting into societal molds, becoming what the world expects. We build the ego as a mask for survival, gradually losing the call from deep within, the call of the self, the total self. Jung said the self is not a grander ego, but the true center of the entire person, where light and shadow, conscious and unconscious, individual and collective, harmonize into a unified whole. It is the place where you no longer tear yourself between I should and I want, between right and wrong, between what they think and who I am. When you touch that state, you no longer need to play any role. You become your soul itself. But that journey is not easy. To ascend, you must let go. Let go of the roles that once saved you from hurt, but now imprison you. Let go of the illusions about who you think you must become. The process of individuation is not accumulation, but divestment, step by step. You peel away the layers that are not yours, until only the original, pure, and most authentic essence remains. One on the path of individuation often goes through phases of crisis. At such times, you realize that the success, fame, or self-image you once pursued no longer suffices to define life's meaning. You begin seeking something deeper, wholeness, and it is precisely there that the journey of individuation begins. Try looking back at your life. How many times have you done something just because you should, must, or everyone does? How many times have you felt you were living without truly living, merely acting in a pre-written script? Jung believed those moments of restlessness are not failures, but the soul's call. The soul does not shout, it whispers, "This is not me." And when you are brave enough to listen, you begin returning to your true path, the path of individuation. On that journey, you will rediscover parts of yourself you once neglected. Perhaps the creativity is stifled by fear of failure. Perhaps the passion was extinguished by the pressures of practical life, or the deep intuition denied by reason. Each time you dare to listen and call them back, you are gradually integrating yourself. And the miracle is, the more original you become, the more deeply connected you feel to the world. Because only when you are truly yourself can you truly see others. In the collective unconscious, Jung observed that every culture tells of this journey, the hero's departure from home, confrontation with monsters, and return with treasure. But Jung emphasized that the treasure is not outside, it is within the hero. The monster you must face is not a real enemy, but the fear, doubt, and old patterns in your own mind. And when you conquer them, the reward is not glory, but awakening. Think of the artist who finds their unique style after years of copying others. Or the one who collapses in crisis, then rises to live an entirely different life, not for anyone else, but because it feels, this is me. That is the manifestation of individuation. Not everyone recognizes it, but every time you do something truly aligned with your soul, you draw closer to that pinnacle. Individuation does not make you perfect, it makes you real. You still have flaws, still have shadow, but you no longer fear them. You understand that shadow is not opposed to light. It is the indispensable part that gives light meaning. When you accept both, you attain wholeness, the highest state of the human psyche. And when you live from that place, everything changes. You are no longer driven by fear of loss, the need for acceptance, or the desire to prove yourself. You need not affirm your worth, for you are worth. You need not chase light, for you are the source. Jung believed that one who reaches this stage possesses an unshakable peace, a peace that inspires awe and caution in others, because they cannot fathom how you remain so steadfast in a chaotic world. That is the pinnacle of inner strength, when you no longer need to hide, control, or prove. You simply are. And in that state of being, you become strong naturally, like a mountain that needs no roar to proclaim its height. And when you arrive at that point, when you unify all parts of yourself into a coherent whole, you do not merely build a strong mind, you build an awakened mind. And that, precisely, is the pinnacle of inner strength. The strength of one who has passed through shadow, transcended the ego, touched the soul, and returned as an unshakable being. If what you have just heard quiets your mind, as if something within you is being called by name, hold this moment with a like or subscribe, a silent promise to your own soul, that you will continue the path back to your true self. This journey is not for the intellect, but for those brave enough to heed the deepest voice in their heart. And it is here that we enter the most essential part, training the mind, how to live with a strong, clear, and profound mind. Part 5, Practicing Mind Training. Jung once said, "No tree, it is said, can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell." And training the mind is the process of letting your roots sink deep into reality, where there is pain, friction, and limitation, so that your trunk and branches can reach the heights of awareness. There are shortcuts, no magic secrets, only persistent, steadfast practice and daily wakefulness. The first step in training the mind is to observe yourself without judgment. This is the foundation of all inner development, and it is what most of us fail to do. Because when a negative emotion arises, anger, fear, or envy, our natural reflex is to resist it or flee. But Jung would say, do not try to banish the shadow, look into it. Each time you observe anger without rushing to conclude, I am bad or I am weak, you allow your mind to see the full picture. That gaze, untainted by judgment, is what makes the shadow dissolve on its own. A simple yet profound practice is conscious journaling to capture the inner flow. Whenever a strong emotion arises, pause and write, I am feeling because, and continue until you touch the deepest layer of the cause. In doing so, you bring the unconscious into the light. Jung saw this as a healing act, for language is the bridge between the unconscious and the conscious. The second step is practicing silence. Not external quiet, but inner stillness, where you cease trying to control everything, cease reacting, and simply be present. You cannot build a strong mind in a noisy world if you do not know how to return to your own quiet. It may be through meditation, walking in nature, or just sitting in silence for a few minutes each day to watch thoughts pass without clinging to them. This is when you learn that you are not your thoughts. You are the one observing them. The moment you realize this, you detach from identification with the ego, and your mind begins to find freedom. Next is training the capacity to endure adversity. A weak mind shatters before suffering, while a strong mind sees suffering as material for growth. Jung worked with many patients who endured psychological trauma, and he realized that it is not those who suffer less who live better, but those who turn suffering psychological trauma, and he realized that it is not those who suffer less who live better, but those who turn suffering into meaning. Each time you face a challenge, ask,
Hey, bless.
which part of me is being called to grow through this experience? When you stop seeing adversity as an enemy, and begin to see it as a teacher,
Yo,
your mind
I
shifts to another
if there is it to be felt here, I definitely felt that one. Holy crap, that was awesome, dude. My muscles are quite literally shaking. Like I can feel the blood going through them. It's freaking insane. Like I've actually been doing this for years now. I've been doing this probably on and off since I was like 7. So yeah, this isn't anything new. This isn't anything like 100% that I'm getting into. Like I've been working out since I was 7, and it was around that time. That's around when I started getting well, pretty much confused like everybody else. In all honesty, right? Like it's like, oh, I'm being told this, but clearly that's not the true. Oh, I'm being told this, but clearly that's not the true. It's like, so, and it all results in death in the end. So I can either make my choice and continue walking, or I can make my choice and remain dumb and not get any information from other people and other sources, and continue to be ignorant and keep thinking that I'm right in the choices I make without actually getting any more experience within that. Knowledge is power in a sense, right? Let me know if that makes sense to you. Holy crap, dude. I like literally after that one, my entire body is like forcing myself to sit upright right now. That's how insane that is. It's like because I always have a little tremors and like lower body like movements and stuff, involuntary movements since I was 5. Something you try to tell people, but other people will have their perceptions about you, including your own family members, but that is okay. No harm done. All glory to the Creator. Yeah, but it's just like little tremors like that, and also I have to say a side note. I know there's lots of people who have little quirks and quakes and whatever, and tricks and whatever, and they purposely hide it. But some people even go further beyond that point, and they hide it so well that you would never know. You might see something off on an off day, but then when they go home, it's like they have fucking seizures upon seizures, or what we perceive as seizures, let's just say. Yeah. So, and like, don't get me wrong. I guess I am ADHD. So, but that doesn't really matter for anything, in my opinion. Oh dang! Hey, that's what's up, yo. Thank you guys so much. Uh, glad to see you liking this. Glad to guys see you appreciate the consistency. Hopefully we're gonna go. Oh yeah, Jay Jordan, thank you so much, bro. Let me call some names. I'm not being appreciative here. Uh, we Sam 7777. What's up, G? Call me. The Jay Jordan, of course, homie. Thank you so much. Keep up the great work. You too, bro. Of course. I actually just realized how early you get up, and that was like that was me listening, kind of I guess to universe in a sense, and then me remembering that video of like hearing, who was it? It was a basketball team or someone from a basketball team comparing himself to Kobe, wanting to be like up all night, wanting to be there 100%, but but instead every single time he went there, Kobe was always there. Kobe had already done his workout. He had already sweat. He had already done this, and that. That just goes to show you there's always going to be someone who is doing a little more better than you, who's putting in more effort. Rather than complaining, ask what they are doing. Ask how you could improve your skills, because that's all that's going to happen. You can only get better if you want to in a certain situation. So, yeah. And shaky baby, smiley face, so true. How about melatonin? Yeah, I have tried melatonin for a little bit.
I might try that again since this time yeah, that stuff just not treating you good, guys. It's I don't know what they're putting inside freaking marijuana, but since like in grade 10 I first tried that, it's way different, man. Like the actual smokable stuff, that stuff is way different. I don't know why. It's you don't giggle anymore. You just get paranoid and you like it just sucks. In all honesty, like the new stuff, it just sucks, dude. So I'm gonna stop that. I'm gonna stop the vaping. Gonna I don't do anything else. So oh god. Be too open with yourself. It's like, wait, do I even do anything else? I guess I'm gonna stop the complaining all the time. That's for sure something I'm gonna stop. Just complaining to myself. Just do it. And oh yeah, I was saying something about Jay Jordan, too. Yeah, thank you for that motivation, brother. Like honestly, because that just inspired me to get up a little earlier. And honestly, during that meditation, I realized, wow, not every meditation is going to feel good. Not every meditation is going to feel bad. And I've heard all those things before. I've said all those things before multiple times. But instead of me actually listening to myself, instead of me actually understanding that, I just seem to just ignore myself and never listen to my own advice. So it's time for a change. If you've ever seen my other videos, you know it's time for a change. Regardless of what that change is, it must be consistent and it must be repetitive in order for you to become it. Anything else is irrelevant, and you will not achieve the thing you say if you're not willing to make the sacrifice. That's simply what it is. You learn it the hard way, or life will personally treat you that. But all power to the Creator. So, like all things are good through God, and no nothing's really bad. God only is good, and you have to appreciate the bad to appreciate the good, to appreciate the bad to appreciate the good, and continuing on cycle. Life is a flow. Okay, that's about it. So, thank you guys and girls and everyone of creators, beautiful creatures. I'm not with the whole affirming pronouns and BS, but I still love you. Don't even worry about that. Creator made all of you guys, and I will love you 100%. So says Creator. Okay, 100% done with that. So next time, I should write that down. No. I will remember it. Next time I'm gonna start at 7:30. Again, we're still working our way up to 5 a.m. because something tells me that'll be the peak pivotal time to actually do this, because I'll be able to get a lot of stuff done, and I'll be able to do at least an hour of meditation. And afterwards, after I'm done the meditation, then I would be able to most likely start work again, be like start work in a timely way, right? Depending how I get my schedule, because I need at least like six hours of sleep. I need that. I might try and see how just running off 5 hours of sleep is, but 6 hours of sleep is usually in between there, and then stay well hydrated, stay well maintained, and then once in a while I like to take a little extra, like longer sleep, for about say 8 hours, the regular 8 hours, but that's only if you can afford it. But if you gotta grind, sleep is for your week at that point, as far as I'm concerned. If you're grinding, don't worry about sleep. Only trust Creator. He will put you through that. There's been times where I've slept maybe in between the 2 to 3 days, like 2 to 3 hours, honestly. And that was a lot of that was just out of curiosity, just figuring out a bunch of different things. And yeah, you live, you learn, you experience, and Creator love you regardless. That's about it. So take care. If you like what you see, please remember to like. It helps me out. I'm trying to get at least 1K subscribers. The goal is for this channel specifically is to make at least a decent like $200 to $300 extra, because I know people take some time to make money off YouTube, so I don't mind like waiting, and I'm gonna do some other stuff with my life to make this page a little more interesting, since this is unspecified. This is just life. So yeah, why put specification on life when you don't have to? Or if you want to, you have every right to. Who cares? Live your life. Love it. Take care of yourself. Namaste.